Mayans, my Haitians, and a big hello to you two.
Hello, YouTube.
Hello, Tyler, and welcome to True Crime.
True Crime.
Volume 1.
Yes.
Now, what this is an offshoot of our other offshoot where we're going to be talking about true crime, something that Tyler and I like before it's cool. We promise we can prove it.
Offshoot of an offshoot. Guys, we have a lot of growths happening right now. Some are coming out of our toes. Some are coming out of our ears. You don't know what's coming at you.
Mysterious growths, and you're a part of it. Now, on True Crime, we're going to get into the heavy hitters that you guys know and love. We're going to talk about Bundy. We're going to talk about Gacy. We're going to talk about Dahmer. But I want to start this series that Tyler and I are doing with a story where it's a lesser known story, and the murders are kind of the least interesting part of it, which is a weird thing to say in a true crime story.
Mm-hmm. Well, plus murder just doesn't do it for you anymore. You need some really serious stuff to get you going.
Yeah, sometimes I'll hang myself with a belt. I don't want to get into the specifics here.
That was the specifics.
That's really all it is. It's just the belt thing. This is the story of Elliot Rodger, a.k.a. the Virgin Killer.
Hi, Elliot Rodger here. Well, this is my last video. It all has to come to this. Tomorrow is the day of retribution. The day in which I will have my revenge against humanity. Against all of you.
May 23rd, 2014, Isla Vista, California. That young man that you just saw killed 6 people and injured 14 with guns, knives, and his car. Now, that video that you were just watching was posted on YouTube that same day and was entitled Retribution. You've seen it, right, Tyler?
I have. He's got a flair for the dramatic.
Oh, my goodness, does he have a flair for the dramatic? I think that kind of factors into all of this.
He's a thespian if I've ever seen it.
Yes.
Although he does have to work on his laugh, which we will get to.
We will, don't go anywhere. We will get into that laugh. Elliot Rodger was born in London to Peter Rodger and Lee Chan, who met on the set of Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade.
Very cool. It
was a Hollywood family. His father, who was American, worked in the film industry, and his mother was Malaysian. She was working as a unit nurse. I don't know. That's if somebody actually gets hit by the boulder.
I know what nurse means.
Okay, thank you for helping me out there, Tyler. Mm-hmm. Now, I know that's a cliched place to start where you say Elliot Rodger was born, blah, blah, blah. But the reason that I did that is because I think this is going to be something that ties all of these together. It's so hard to discuss these psychopaths without including their childhood.
Almost all of them except, we talk about Ted Bundy all the time. Everybody except him. You look at nature versus nurture, and most of these people who go out and do all these really heinous things come from really dark childhoods.
Of course, they connect love with crazy things. Mm-hmm. And I'm glad that you said that because he had exactly what we're talking about. He had parents who cared about them. Now, with all these situations, parenting always comes into question, but they really loved him. They wanted the best for him. They tried. His parents divorced when he was 7 years old, and then a year after that, he began to see a therapist. Now, later on, parts of his journal got out, and you began to see that his rage began to build at a very young age. Mm-hmm. And with him being the son of a Hollywood insider, he basically had a front row seat to like the entertainment industry.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So here's what he wrote in his journal. My little 9-year-old self realized that there were hierarchies, that some people were better than others. Jealousy and envy, those are 2 feelings that would dominate my entire life and bring me immense pain.
It's actually a lot of awareness for such a young person.
But I have trouble believing anything that he even says. Is that even real? Does he know what it is to be a real person?
I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Let's ask him.
Well, we can't do that, and I'll get into that in just a little bit. Now, and this is one of the reasons why I wanted to talk about this, is because it is, again, not just because of the murder, but because of the social implications, the kind of the goals that we implant in people. Is that a fair thing to say?
For sure. I think societally, I think there is a general idea of what one should have accomplished by a certain time, and I think he fell victim to that by an outrageous degree.
In an extreme degree.
Yes.
You're exactly. If you look at how women are supposed to look, if you look at Instagram, just the general portrayal of self-esteem in this day and age, I think there's a lot of societal pressures that we don't think about a lot. Let's hear another clip from Elliot Rodger.
I'm 22 years old and I'm still a virgin. I've never even kissed a girl. I've been through college for 2.5 years. More than that, actually. And I'm still a virgin. And it's been very torturous. College is the time when everyone experiences those things such as sex and fun and pleasure. But in those years, I've had to rot in loneliness. It's not fair.
And that's what I mean. There were his expectations. There was his entitlement. And basically what this is, it's the story of a shy young boy who turned into a resentful and angry young man. I feel like everybody knows somebody like that or is that person.
I think everybody's gone through that in a certain in a
capacity, right?
Certain capacity. Although I would say, and normally, you know, I'm all for equality and stuff, but I would imagine this is primarily a male thing, right? Like women don't deal with it in the same way.
I think much like women are primarily poisoners and stuff like that, I think we all have that same thing. And
Did you just say all women are poisoners?
Excuse me. I did. That was. I misspoke.
You're all Black Widows. We know it.
75% of you are poisoners, and I apologize for that.
I'm never sharing a drink with you again.
I am going to be hearing about that in my email. We all know somebody who's like this. And what I was saying is women and men deal with murder differently.
Yes.
Because of their strength differences and all that different stuff. So Elliot was bullied all throughout school. You and I have talked about him a lot. I've looked up some new stuff. His head was taped to a desk while he was asleep. That's a bummer.
That's a crappy way to wake up.
That is. That's
I would say that overtakes the classic gag of waking up and hitting your head on something.
Yeah,
waking up and your head being taped down would be terrifying.
Yes, and that is because somebody has inflicted it upon you. Now, there's so many little things in his life that just seem to add up, and I could give you story after story, but here's one that I think just kind of encapsulates everything. He wrote in his journal about a party where he basically decided to give you women one last chance, okay?
All he wants is a chance.
He wants to lose his virginity before he's 22. The line starts here.
Me too.
Okay? Now, shocking that the women at the party ignored a guy with a vibe like, this is your last chance, ladies, to get me laid.
I very clearly wasn't there, but I'm going to go ahead and assume that they weren't ignoring him. They were actively avoiding him.
Yes, they were hiding behind the punch bowl and locking the bathroom door.
It was not like, who's that guy over there? It was like, holy crap, do you see that guy over there?
I can feel him. I can feel the heat behind my neck.
Because he's breathing on you.
That's good. Now, the women at the party ignored him, so he grew angry. He climbed up a 10-foot ledge and pretended to shoot partygoers with an imaginary gun.
Yeah, it's his humor is very clearly, I mean, I'm saying the most obvious thing in the world, but his humor is being filtered through this prism of the way he views the world, which is the way humor is brought up. But he was in such a dark place and such a violent place that, of course, the first place he goes to is, haha, just kidding, pew, pew, pew.
See, I don't even see that as humor. The way that I look at that is that's a defense mechanism. I think that it's like shame overload. This is how I deal with it. I don't think there's any humor in that.
But I was picturing him doing it in a joking manner. Like, look at me, no. I'm saying, when you say a joke that you know is going to be offensive, you say it in a certain type of way where you can just go, hey, look, I was kidding, obviously. Or did he get up there and go, I wish I could kill all of you?
Well, that's fair.
There's a difference between the two.
But they said he was already angry, even if he did have a big smile on his face. I think we could assume where that came from.
Gotcha, yeah.
So he then tried pushing several women off the ledge until a group of guys intervened, who then pushed him off the ledge, and he broke his ankle. So that kind of tells you This kid was deeply troubled, and it was very evident to people.
Next time, follow through. If you're going to push somebody, push somebody.
Get as many down there. Once you get a broken ankle, it's going to be very tough to push people off that ledge.
You wait till the conga line comes by and you just shove them over.
Now you're thinking with your noodle, Tyler.
Girls aren't attracted to me, but I will punish you all for it. It's an injustice, a crime, because I don't know what you don't see in me. I'm the perfect guy. And yet you throw yourselves at all these obnoxious men instead of me, the supreme gentleman. I will punish all of you for it.
The Supreme Gentleman is a big time bummer. Now, speaking of Supreme Gentleman, it reminds me very much of a society that has kind of formed, that has kind of deified this guy. Now, that whole, it's called the incels, the involuntarily celibate. Now, Tyler, could you very quickly give the audience some information on what for the people who don't know what incels are, explain it to them. Break them off a little something.
Absolutely. Well, the beginning of the incel community started in the late 90s on the internet, back when it was fun and carefree, and people weren't going to the dark web to buy nuclear weapons. And it was just a community of like-minded people who could get together and ask each other questions and support one another. Women would get involved.
I don't trust anything that you just said. That doesn't sound real. We got to get in their comment section and just say awful things. I'm sorry, please continue.
So you ask me a question and then just call me a liar to my face?
Generally
that's exactly what happened.
Yes, I'm sorry. Please continue.
I mean, Jesus. Their ideology is what's called the black pill.
Okay.
Where, from the Matrix, you have the red pill or the blue pill. Right?
Okay.
They say that one side is a patriarchal society where men rule over women, and then on the other side is where feminism has gone too far, and and women have power over men.
Okay.
They say that they live right in the middle in a broken system where men are chosen based on their looks and stuff like that.
I've never even heard that before. That is super interesting.
I looked all this up. It's really depressing.
Well, what else you got? That was a good factoid.
Yeah,
there.
Absolutely. It's the belief that the entire social system is broken and that one's place in the system couldn't be changed. In essence, it's not only giving into despair, but it's also giving away any and all responsibility.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that what you're going to hear over and over with these kind of theologies, if you'll allow it, is it's not my fault. It's not my fault. This is above my pay grade.
That's like a pillar of the community. And if I may, one last fact that I will give is there have been at least 6 mass murders since 2014 where men either claim to be incels or affiliate with them.
Wow.
44 deaths.
That's incredible.
44 people at least have been killed.
That they're saying, hey, we're responsible for that.
And then on the flip side saying, hey, it's not my fault I can't get women.
Okay, now wait a minute. This is the perfect... Okay, 44 deaths, all these involuntarily celibate. I want to point out right here that he was obsessed with World of Warcraft. Everybody who plays World of Warcraft is a murderous virgin. And you heard it here first, Tyler.
I used to play World of Warcraft.
Murderous virgin. Now, his family was wealthy, but he was angry at his mom for not marrying wealthier, okay? Now, you fact-checked me, and they did seem to run out of money.
Don't get defensive.
You're being defensive, Tyler. Now, you did fact-check me, and apparently by the end of their life, they had run out of money, but he did grow up wealthy. His father had worked on many... it seemed like the 80s did better for him than, the 2000s.
Well, he was doing the Indiana Joneses and stuff like that. But yes, by the time we got to the 2000s...
Keeping up with the Indiana Joneses. So... Even though he was doing, in worldly standards, he was wealthy he was in the top 2% or whatever.
Sure. And he had a lot of wealthy possessions.
He became obsessed with winning the lottery, saying that it was his only way out.
I get it.
Again, being unaware of reality. You know what I mean?
I totally see it.
So he drove to Arizona and Utah to buy extra Powerball tickets. When he missed 4 jackpots in a row, that is what pushed him overboard, Tyler.
I never asked this, but is there a specific reason why he drove to Utah and I believe you said Arizona?
To get, you know what? I've never researched that. Don't you ever ask me a question without running it by me first. It said to get more tickets. Is there a limit that you can get on tickets?
I've never played the lotto. I have no idea.
You don't know? So you don't know?
The first image that comes to mind is, who is it, that astronaut lady who wore a diaper and drove across country to murder some woman?
We can review.
Yeah.
Shut up, murderous virgin. That when he didn't get those Powerball hits, that's when he began planning the day of retribution.
On the day of retribution, I am going to enter the hottest sorority house of UCSB. And I will slaughter every single spoiled, stuck-up, blonde slut I see inside there. All those girls that I've desired so much, they would have all rejected me and looked down upon me as an inferior man.
Rodgers began May 23rd by stabbing his 3 roommates to death in their apartment.
Killing anybody is I can't even I've never killed anyone. I know you see this and you see tough guy. I've never killed anybody. I've never. I can't even begin to fathom stabbing is so personal.
Well, and they say that is a replicant for your penis. That is.
Really?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. A lot of times, like guys who are impudent, it's
I understand it.
Right. So the virgin killer, you better be using a big old knife. Elliot,
too personal for me. I would want to do it from far away.
You're more of a son of Sam.
I'm like a C4 kind of guy.
Okay, we're gonna have to talk. House meeting after the show. Now, after 3 hours later, I don't know if he had to psych himself up. I don't know what happened in those 3 hours. He drove to a sorority house and shot 3 women outside. In that clip we just listened to, he said he was gonna enter. Apparently, some wires got crossed there.
Oh, I presented this theory to you last time.
Yeah, because we bleeped up this video, and this is like our 4th time.
Yeah. Which is maybe he got out front and he had the power of death and life in his hands, but then he saw a pretty girl and was like, I can't go over there.
Hey, you know what? Let's get back in the car.
It's too much. It's too much.
So he then drove past a nearby deli and shot a male student inside, which again lends to the idea of just like, we got to do something here, man.
It sounds like he hyped himself up, screwed himself over at the fraternity, and then had all this extra energy. He's like, I got to kill somebody.
You know what? If I hadn't stabbed my 3 roommates already, I would just call it a friggin' day and go catch a movie.
I would just stop at that deli where he murdered someone and get a sandwich.
I don't like our tone here while discussing murder.
He would have just stopped off and maybe acquired a sandwich.
You get like a...
It's like an NPR vibe.
Do you get like a pickle slice on the side?
A butter and chip pickle slice, yes.
All right. So he then kept driving through Isla Vista, shooting at pedestrians, and finally ended his own life when, via gun, which he had planned out the whole time. He got into a gunfight with the police. They shot him in the hip, crawled back to his car, shot himself in the head.
Man, I mean, for me, I would have been done once I got hit in the hip. Like, man, this is what it feels like. I'm not putting one of these in my head.
I'm sorry.
This hurts.
Dude, listen, I've been playing baseball and one of those balls comes whizzing by my face and I'm like, I am out of here. I hear a bullet and I'm just like, I give up. Tell me where you need me. Now, like I said to you last 5 times that we did this, he was terrified to approach women and it was just easier to hate them. And this is what we're seeing right now. Life is terrifying. It's easier to hate.
And I relate to a lot of that. Not the murder. I would be totally lying if I ever said that I didn't feel violent thoughts towards somebody.
Right. Yeah, of course.
Right? Like, I think anybody can relate. Just driving in your car and somebody cuts you off and you go, you mother bleeper, blah, 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 I hope you die. And if you really think about it.
See, but I don't ever throw, I hope you die.
I've heard a lot of people say it.
And let's not do judgment thing here.
Excuse me, holier than thou.
I am definitely holier than you. We can't get into this right now, but I'm definitely holier than you.
High standard you're holding yourself to.
It's like a limbo bar. But, I'm just saying that everybody has had violent thoughts. Of course.
That's what, absolutely.
We've
absolutely.
all had dark thoughts. Dark thoughts is part of the human brain.
Following through with it, though.
It's all about what you do with your thoughts.
If I can't have you, girls, I will destroy you.
I literally just put that in so that we could have the laugh again.
The laugh is just terrible.
Yeah.
And saying that I will destroy you, that to me is the ultimate level of selfishness, where it's, if I can't have you, then I will make sure you don't exist anymore. Not I'll kill you, I will destroy you.
Tyler, if you don't let me finish, I will destroy you. I'm kidding. I was going along
So
with you.
dramatic.
I was going.
You're so dramatic.
Now, he is very dramatic, and you can see
Talking about you.
He's built this up in his mind. You know what I mean? So, and it's perfect that, like, what we were talking about, where it's, I talk so much on our podcast every Monday and Thursday about how it's so hard to delineate between what's true and what's not true. And this is obviously an extreme case, because when you're talking about perspective and that kind of thing that comes with age, he was 22 years old. I'm sure a 40-year-old Elliot Rodger would grab him by the shoulder and say, hey, dude, it's all going to change. You just don't know. Don't make up your mind now with such a small amount of information.
Absolutely. You're only 22. Look at me. I'm 40. Just wait 18 years. They got laser guns and shit. You can kill so many more people.
I'm 40. I still haven't gotten laid. Wait a minute. You're doing a laser joke spree killing, huh?
Yeah. Wait 18 years. We'll get better weapons.
I had already loaded up my own
joke. I know. Yeah. I noticed. I had
already loaded up my own joke, and I tried to come back. So that leads me back to my original question, which is, how much of this is his fault and how much of this is society? In other words, the expectations that we're putting out there, the goals, the societal standards that we're all agreeing on that I don't think anybody genuinely agrees with.
Yep. Well, I think that you would get a different answer depending on, I mean, obviously who you ask, but also generationally, I think would be a deciding factor in this. Because, and this is just what popped into my head, I think if you said to an older person, the pull them up by your bootstraps kind of people,
right?
It's society's fault that I feel this way, where you and I could actually come to an agreement, or it's the way we push, the way you're supposed to look and how much you're supposed to weigh and the things you're supposed to own. It does psychological damage, but I think if you spoke to an older generation person, they would be like, no, that's totally on you.
Well, my question is, what separates your thought process about what you're saying and the incels? Where is it society's fault, or is it your job to take care of this shit? Is it your job? Is it incumbent on you, no matter which way it's handed to you, to take care of it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Everybody's life.
I don't agree with it. I think it's society.
Everybody's life it's their responsibility. It is your responsibility nobody's going to take care of your life except for you. So even, I would say this, get rid of fault, man. Get rid of blame and fault and all that. If it's happening in your life, it's your responsibility.
Well, this is what I'm thinking about. Yes, your happiness is your responsibility, whether it's your fault or not. Animals who are kept in unusual circumstances show abnormal behavior. Maybe that's why we're seeing such an upswing of these types of actions. We are animals, and maybe you're seeing people's behavior change so rapidly, as it seems to me evident that we are, because our cage is not the way that it's supposed to be.
Of course. And as I said earlier, before, we've commoditized everything. Everything you do is meant to make money off of you. Every interaction you have is now done through a screen. We have totally and completely separated ourselves from each other, and we are a communal species. Without each other, without that intimacy, you get a lot of what you're seeing now.
Well, it's like a beehive. So here's our case in point. Let's examine what we think is fact in our life and try to recognize when we're spiraling. Let's help other people try to keep their lives in perspective. Let's check on each other. I think the revolution that we need begins with a personal revolution.
Yeah, let's do orgies.
Let's do orgies.
I hate all of you. Humanity is a disgusting, wretched, depraved species. If I had it in my power, I would stop at nothing to reduce every single one of you to mountains of skulls and rivers of blood. And rightfully so. You deserve to be annihilated.
And that is Elliot Rodger, a.k.a. the Incel Super Saiyan. We are those guys you hate.
Be kind, or we'll kill you.